Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my craft room. Just let me move my chair. My name's Julianne Richards, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in southern Tasmania. This is the tutorial video for my June 2022 Fun Fold card class. These are the 3 cards we will be doing today. Thank you very much to everyone who has purchase this class, and if you're watching this on YouTube afterwards and you'd like to do one of my classes open to Australian customers, please contact me on the details on my YouTube channel. There's an email address there, or pop over to my Facebook page and contact me via Facebook. Anyway, you'd be very welcome to do the classes. All you need for these classes, just as a way of explanation, all you need is your favourite sentiments. So you've got some sentiments to match these little sentiment boxes, and your own adhesives. And in this case, we'll need some dimensionals or some foam squares, some glue, and I think we need some double-sided tape as well. So we'll get on with these. Okay, we might do this middle one first. I think it's my favourite of the 3. And the kit is here on top. So this is what the kit will look like. In fact, this is actually a kit. I just randomly pull one out every time I do some kits. Randomly pull one out to actually do, so that I know you've got everything you need to make the card. Hopefully, anyway, it's my little form of quality control. So in your kit, you have lots of bits and pieces. Be careful, always be careful when you get my kits out, because you know there'll be embellishments and ribbon and small little die cut parts that may fall out, and that would be bad. Okay, so you've got a card base, and this is in, it's very dark, you might not see it, it's actually in early espresso, and that is the gatefold part of this card. What you'd sort of call this card, I think, is a gatefold with a drop down, and this here is the drop down in the center. So I'll actually show you on the original card. Not that you're not going to see it yourself. So you've got your gatefold. Oh, move that out of the way. You've got your gatefold, so it's decorated at the front and on the inside. And then when it sits up, you've got this drop down bit here. So you've got lots of space for a letter, for a bit of catching up on family news, all that sort of thing as well. So that's the way that one works, and it's held together because it's a bit bulkier than a normal card by a belly band. So that's the belly band will make that as well. Okay, so let's get started. As I say, early espresso card base cut in the form of a gate. Then you've got the piece of white cardstock that forms the drop down, and clang. We might as well glue that in straight away. So just grab your glue. You want to pop it on the back part that's going to sort of face into the drop into the back of the card. So you just want to pop some glue on the back of that. Position that in the card. So I've cut these so that the score of the drop down will line up with the bottom. I should come up a wee bit with the bottom. It's not going to do it. It's a little bit funny there. The score of the drop down will line up with the bottom of your card base, the bottom edge. Now the reason I've done that is because we want it to drop down and sit flat and not sort of sit at an angle. So it has to be pretty much in line with the bottom, and then you'll have the same sort of border left, right and above there. So it closes over like that. So that's that one. We'll come back to decorating that in a second. I've stamped mine and popped some paper on there, so you may like to do the same thing. But let's do the outside now. So you've got 2 pieces of this beautiful crumb cake designer series paper, and they are basically cut just to go on their own, just without a backing, without a layer on the front, just like that. So the front of this card is quite plain, apart from the belly band. The belly band really adds to it, I believe. It's fairly plain, but I think I've done that sort of as a bit of a cheeky surprise, that when you open up the card, It is just so pretty inside with the other paper and the blushing, is it Blushing Bride? Petal Pink. It's Petal Pink, the Petal Pink detail as well. So there we are. So we just pop that on the front there. Okay, so open it up. We'll do the rest of the inside. So you've got 2 pieces of Petal Pink and 2 pieces of Designer Series paper. I'm going to put those beautiful tulips facing upwards. So I'll pop that onto the Petal Pink. Like so. And then the 2 of those onto the inside. Just there like that. And the same on the other. Make sure you've got them the right way up, especially if you're making this later and you've got a paper that has an actual direction to it. Make sure you keep it facing the right way. Nothing worse than having your drop down come out one way and then all your paper's upside down. There we are. Okay, so that's our 2 sides of our gatefold. Now, you'll notice as well that you've got another piece of the Designer Series paper. It's about 3/4 of an inch high, I think. Yeah, so it's just was left over from when I cut these panels here, and I don't like any wastage, as you guys know. So I'm just cut it just slightly so that it will fit just on that little bit there, just to give your card a wee bit of something a bit interesting happening on the inside. So just sort of carry that theme over a wee bit from the beautiful paper and to save wasting it. So I'll just pop that just in the centre of your little drop down drawbridge almost, isn't it? Just like that. So we'll come back, and when I get my stamps out, we'll stamp something on the inside there as well. Okay, so just in case you haven't noticed, this is the Abigail Rose paper. So if you really like the paper, as usual with my classes, I'll pop the details and all the measurements online, so you can pop and have a look at them later if you want to make this yourself. So that's our drop down gatefold, pretty much made there. But let's now we can make our belly band. Okay, so I've given you a piece of early espresso. It's 9 inches long, but I have scored it, I think at about 3.5 inches, just basically so I could get it into the pack. So what you need to do is finish the rest of that scoring. Now, what's the best way to do this? Okay, so flip it around. I haven't scored it completely because I didn't want it to be too tight that you couldn't then slip it up and down. So if you slip that over your card so that the score is hard up on one side, and then grab the other side and turn it over, and rough there is where we want to glue it. Okay, so we might turn that to the back eventually, but that's where we want to glue it. So make sure it slips on and off nicely, and just grab some glue. Where am I going to glue it? I'll glue it that way. Just grab some glue, pop that on there, and just give it a wee bit a wee bit of time to just cure, and then we'll test it out and make sure it slips up and down. So you want it to be tight enough to sort of support itself and not slip up and down, but not so loose that it just, falls straight off. So you want not so tight that it won't go on, and not so loose that it just falls straight off. So that's our belly band there. Okay, so we're going to grab now our ribbon. So this is this beautiful, lovely broad linen ribbon that you can actually stamp on. It's just so nice. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have the join at the back. So this is going to be the front. Okay, and then I'm going to sort of a bit counterintuitively, I'm going to wrap the ribbon round so the join is at the front. And the only reason I'm doing that is because I want a nice smooth um, length of ribbon at the back, and I'm going to cover over the join with our sentiment circle and serrated our sentiment circle. Okay, so as I say, it's a lovely thick ribbon, so I'm going to attach it with double-sided tape, but I think I might actually need two layers of double-sided tape, so just measure where it needs to be. So one there, just so it doesn't wiggle around. It's sort of really attached nice and firmly. There we are. So again, that's the back, this is the front. Bring in our ribbon. That wasn't very wise, was it? Come on, come off. Wrap it round. There we are. Oh. There we are. So there's our ribbon wrapped around there. And as I say, we're going to put our little sentiment circle on the front there. Ribbon's got a wee bit of fray, so I'm just going to take that little frayed bit off. There we are. Okay. So now we'll do that little sentiment circle, and that's just about done. So I'm going to grab my early espresso ink, if I can find it. There it is. Yep. And I'm going to use, since we're using the Abigail Rose suite, I'm going to grab the Cottage Rose dies, which is the dies that go with it. I'm going to use the Best Wishes because it fits perfectly in that little circle. Here we are. I'm going to glue that onto our backing circle, sort of serrated circle. And then again with some double-sided tape, because I want to keep it. I think I'll use double-sided tape, yes. I'll pop some double-sided tape. Where will we pop that? Can't remember how I did it the other one. Let's have a look. Oh, it looks like I've used glue. I might use glue. No, I can't. Well, it's stuck before. Let's see if it sticks again. I'm going to pop some glue on the back here, just in the centre. Nice amount of glue because it has to stick to the ribbon. Position that in the middle of our belly band. See how that goes. That should stick okay, I hope. Anyway, if you're worried about that, use double-sided tape. There we are. Okay, so there we are. That's our belly band there. So that one will slip over. I might just let that dry before I test that. And if it doesn't stick, I'll bring in the double-sided tape. So we have our gate. We have our drop down there. We've got it on the front. What else do we have to do? Oh, I was going to do some stamping on the inside. So we've got best wishes on the outside. You could pop, like I have on the original, you could grab a flower of some sort, which I will, because I've got that on the original one. Again, I'm going to use my early espresso because it's just so nice. Oh, you could bring your petal pink in if you wanted. No, I think early espresso would be nicer. And I'm going to pop something on this bottom bit here just to give that a wee bit of something. It's a good thing I tested that. There's patterns on the inside of this. Excuse me. Yeah, that's better. The pattern on the inside of this stamp of mine needs quite a bit of ink, quite a bit of pressure from the ink to get it all inked up. So I do have to be careful. I don't want to make a mistake at this stage. There we are. Okay, so just maybe a little flower in there. Actually, it's not a little flower, is it? It's quite a huge flower. Flower there. You could do whatever you want, whatever stamp sets you've got. As I say, though, if you wanted to put a whole long sort of catch-up letter in there, you might not want to put anything. And then I might, from the stamp set as well, we've got best wishes. I might put a feel better real soon, or a happy birthday, feel better real soon. I might just leave it actually, and then I can probably use it for whatever, can't I? So we'll go, you could put a little stamp up here or around there, just whatever you want. So anything from any set that you've got that's appropriate. Okay, so there's our drop down. There's our gate. Here's our belly band, which is hopefully stuck. Yep, looks like it's stuck. Pops on there because has it stuck though? That just moved. Might leave that one to dry properly, and I'll bring in the one from my previous one that has dried. There we go. There's our belly band. Slips over like that to make a lovely card. There you go. So that's card number 1. We'll just have a bit of a tidy up. Pop that away. The headphones are falling off my head today. Okay, so pop that aside. We'll get rid of that. So as I say, that is the Cottage Rose stamp set, and it goes with the Abigail Rose suite, or bundle and suite. Okay, so that's that one. Let's get that out of the way. Move that one. Okay, card number 2. Well, the one that's on top is this one here. This is a lovely sort of black and white sort of monochrome card. It uses the lacy edging from the delicate edges, and it also, the highlight of it is the paper from the perfectly penciled designer series paper from the current catalogue. Some of you will have this one, which looks like a crocus or something like that, and some of you will have a different one, which is a blossom sort of picture. It's just because one packet of paper, you only get a certain amount of actual paper. So yes, but they're all lovely. I was actually thinking, if you were that way inclined and you wanted to add a wee bit of colour to this card, you could grab your blends or your pencils or your markers or whatever you use, and colour in some of those pretty flowers just to give them a bit of colour. So be careful here. You've got some matte dots, you've got some ribbon, and you've got a couple of sentiment boxes that could probably wander off if you're not too careful. Okay, so black card base. This is going to be a landscape card, so it's going to be the score is going to be at the top. You've got a piece of design, a basic white for inside, so I'm going to pop that in first. And before you go ploughing on with the front, it's important that we get the ribbon in place first. So don't tread off too quickly, or don't run off too quickly before you see what the next step should be. So there's a piece inside there. We're just going to get rid of our card base for a second. You've got a strip of, as I say, a strip of the designer series paper and a strip of Whisper basic white that's been popped through the embossing, through the die, the edging die. So what we're going to do is first of all glue that piece of white to the back of the designer series paper. So lining it up on the edges, on the sides, left and right, because they've both been cut to the same length, and then lining it up again also with the dots that run along the edge or along the top of the die, just like that, so that it's even, so it's running sort of parallel to those dots as well. So once you've got that done, we're going to add our ribbon. This is, as you guys know, this is the bit that I always forget. So I'm quite proud of myself that I remembered this time. So the ribbon's going to go, it's going to go along where those two things meet, where the paper, where the designer series paper meets the edge, the delicate edge. I'm going to pop my double-sided tape in, just to hold the ribbon. And then right on the very edge of that, there we are. There we are, so our ribbon's on. And now we're going to stick it, put some glue around the rest of it and stick it to the card front. So you're going to line up, bring it in, lining up the paper exactly with the top of the card. So you won't actually see, or shouldn't actually see, any of the black card base peeking out either side or top and bottom of the, there's an embellishment there, of the designer series paper. Okay, so there we are. So it just looks like it's made of, the front is just purely designer series paper. Okay, now not much to go with this one, nearly done. So we're going to pop a sentiment onto our little white sentiment oval. Now this is the double, what we call it, the double oval punch, which I absolutely love. I'm going to be using it a lot. Unfortunately, I'm not proud to say I came to it late. I forgot, didn't actually buy it till probably 1 or 2 orders ago. So yeah, it's very, very handy. It saves you getting the saves you always having to get out the die cutting machine. I'm just grabbing my black ink if you wonder what I'm doing over here. Should have brought it out before, but there we are. So I'm going to use the happy birthday from this one, from the, oh, this is from the Peaceful Moments. I hope that fits. It might be a different happy, no, it's right. Happy birthday. Looks like I've used a slightly different one on the actual card, but I reckon I've used the poppies, not the poppies, the other one that's very similar. The violets one. Violets? What is it? Pansies. I reckon I used the pansies one on my original, but that's all right. This one's just as good and it fits just as well. Okay, then we're going to pop some glue on the back of that one onto our black oval. And then grabbing some dimensionals. Couple of dimensionals on the back. And I'm going to pop this like just in the very middle of this card. You could pop it over to the side if you prefer, if that's the way you prefer your cards, but I'm just thought I'd try this one a little bit different. I'm popping it smack bang in the middle, just so it slightly overlaps that ribbon, but not too much. Yeah, make sure that is the middle. And there you are. Very cute. Okay, so as I say, you've got some matte black dots here as well. And you can pop those on also. There we are. So that's card number 2. You've got your little panel inside. You could pop another sentiment in there if you wanted to. But there is card number 2. How are we going for time? 25 minutes. Pretty good. Next one's a little bit fiddly, so we'll see how we go with that one. So that's card number 2. Just going to check that that's glued down now. Yep, that looks better. Okay, so card number 3. Now this is the Wisteria Wishes bundle from the new catalogue. I think everything we're doing today is from the new catalogue. Yep, or is available in the new catalogue. So Wisteria Wishes, it is a centre fold card here. So what I mean by that is that it's got the fold, it's just got this little sort of card, sort of the main card base is just this little flap here. It's so quite cute. Got the wisteria on the front from the Wisteria Wishes, and the paper either side is from the Beauty Abounds. Is that what it is? Oh gosh, I should remember my papers, shouldn't I? From the, here we go. Apologies. From the Awash in Beauty. I knew it had something to do with beauty. Awash in Beauty designer series paper. So lovely and bright, beautiful bright colours with your polished pink and all those sorts of lovely colours there. So anyway, so let's get making this one. Again, be careful. You've got some embellishments and small pieces in there that could come out all over the place. Now, I have to admit, I've just said that everything's from the new catalogue, and in this case, this card, it isn't. These little gems here are the in-colour gems from the previous catalogue, so they have actually retired. They've replaced them with some new in-colour gems, but these ones have retired. The reason I've used these is because I had a lot of them left, so obviously enough to do all the wonderful kits for this time, and I think I've still got some, so they may well pop up in future videos and classes, who knows. Okay, so for this one you've got a sheet, a layer of basic white and a layer of polished pink. So that big one there, that big layer, is just going to go straight over the top of the basic white. So I suppose in a way this is actually the card base in a strange sort of way, but even though it's just a flat piece of cardstock. It's a little bit wider than it should be. It should be 4 1/8 wide. It's actually a wee bit more. I may cut that down a wee bit. Apologies if yours is the same. As I say, this is my quality control. So I reckon I've probably just cut a piece of cardstock in half and then assumed that it would be 4 1/8 both sides, but sometimes there's a wee bit left. So I'm going to trim that down to 4 1/8. If you have to do the same, please do so. 4 1/8 would be approximately 10.5 centimetres. That should be. I wouldn't bother normally, but it's it would be cut to match everything else for the card. So if it's slightly off, it may throw everything else off as well. So 4 1/8 high. You'll see why in a minute. So 4 1/8. Put the polished pink on top of the white. Then you've got 2 pieces of card of designer series paper, and they are going to go on the left and right extreme ends of our card. So pop those on and line them up so that you've got the same very narrow little border on the pink top, bottom and side. So it should only be probably a 1/16 of an inch or a millimetre or something. Left, right and top, or top, bottom and right in that case, and top, bottom and left in this case. So I'll just bring that a wee bit closer so you can see. Okay, so there we are. So nothing very fancy here so far. So what we might do now is bring in the little central card. So you've got another piece of polished pink, and it's been cut to about 3 1/8 by 8, and it's scored in the middle. And this is why I was saying that probably important that they all match up, because that's supposed to match up perfectly with that polished pink layer there, which it does, thankfully. And you've got a plain piece of basic white, and that's to pop into the middle there. So we might do that now. You guys know what I'm like with my middle pieces. I always use them or lose them. I don't want to do either in this case. So just pop that in. Okay. And I'm going to pop some glue on the back of this one so I can position it in place on the card base. So as I say, it should line up exactly with the polished pink piece that you've already popped there, with a little bit of a border between it and the designer series paper on the left and the right. So line it up at the top with the polished pink and at the bottom with the polished pink. And then, as I say, same sort of border left and right with the designer series paper. Okay, I might score that because it's burnished that because it's sticking up a wee bit. Okay, so we're getting there. This, you've also got a piece of basic white that I've put through the time-worn type embossing folder. So we're going to pop that. Just choose which side you like up and which side you want down. Don't think it matters too much. And that goes just straight onto the front. Lots of layers with this card, but nothing too complex. There we are. Okay, so now the fun bit, the decorating. Okay, so I've cut you some die cuts from the Wisteria Wishes dies, or the Wisteria dies. These are the leaves. So you can see they've got a really cute little embossing pattern on them, little veins. So they're going to go coming off from the left-hand side of the card and over to the right. And then you can see this stalk here, this sort of stem, is where our wisteria flower is going to hang. So you've got 2 parts of the wisteria flower. You've got a larger one which is in polished pink, and a smaller one, or the more detailed one, which is in a designer series paper. I think it's just from the Sweet Talk. Just wanted something that had a blushing bride detail to it, so that's what I've used, and that sort of sits over the top of the polished pink one just to give it some detail. So pop some glue around that, not too much but just enough, and just put that over the top of the backing die. Now they should line up slightly, or there should be parts of it that line up with each other, and if you put them together before you actually glue them, you'll see the bits that I mean. It doesn't line up with all of it, but it lines up with part of it, if that makes sense. There we are. Okay, so now we can bring in our little leaves. Let's pop some glue on the back of those, just here and there. I knew that would happen. It's sticking to my fingers and not the cardstock. It's just a plain piece of white, just a scrap that I had lying around. I just smooth it over, and as long as it's not got glue on it, it should decide to stick to the card and not the cardstock, and definitely not my fingers. Okay, so we're going to just bring in our wisteria now. A little bit more glue on the back. Wisteria flower, I mean. Just overlaps that where that stalk is supposed to be. Just line it up. Make sure it falls straight down. It doesn't fall at an angle, and it doesn't go too far over the edge there, or at all over the edge. Isn't that cute? Okay, last couple of things to do. We've got a square sentiment box, quite literally a box. This is from this die. The square is cut from the Stylish Shapes square dies, which I use quite a lot these days, as you guys know. I'm going to use a sentiment from the Wisteria Wishes, since that's the bundle we're using. I'm using the to a friend who's all kinds of wonderful. So again, it could be a birthday card, get well card, for just a plain friendship card. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this in, and it was real toss up when I was designing this one, whether I used the Mossy Meadow or the polished pink, but I decided to go the Mossy Meadow, just because it's a bit bolder. I thought there was probably enough pink for my liking anyway. It's up to you. You might decide to go the pink way or just plain black. To a friend who's all kinds of wonderful. It fits pretty much perfectly in that little box. And I'm going to add the sentiment box in. I'm going to tuck it very slightly under our wisteria leaf and flower. So if your glue hasn't set yet, which it probably hasn't, you can just slip it in there underneath, so it just tucks in and around the sentiment. So it covers the sentiment a wee bit, which is really cute, and the flower as well. But it does, if you're anything like me, it is going to overlap the edge of that little flap a bit, or that little card. That's fine. I quite like the idea of that. It gives it a bit more interest. But given that I'm not going to take the glue all the way to the edge, I'm just going to stop the glue just before the edge. Here we are. Looks like that little sentiment's sort of peeking out at you from behind those leaves and things, which is really cute. Okay, there we are. Now, the last thing to do is our embellishments, our little in colour gems. Just going to pop those around. And then this, my friends, class is over, finished, done. Here we are. That's a nice one. I like that one. Nice and bright and cheery, colourful. And I love that die cut. That's really nice. We'll use that a bit this year, I reckon. Okay, so that's card number 3. You've done it. All 3 of our cards. I'll bring them all back in so you can see them. So there's our wisteria, there's our lovely black and white, and here is our belly band drop down gatefold. It's a bit of a mouthful, that one, but it's a lovely card nonetheless. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed all 3 of those. As I say, if you aren't doing this class and you'd like to, please contact me on either my email or pop over to my Facebook page, and you can see when the next class is. I do a fun fold every month, so the first of every month I release a new fun fold. This is the class for June. Hope you enjoyed it. As I say, all the products and directions, not directions, but measurements will be on my Facebook, on my Stampin' Up site very soon, and there'll be a link on this video eventually, probably not today, but within a week or so. So thank you very much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I will hopefully see you back for future classes.